Today, FanDuel TV continues to be the best place to watch all the action on the road to the Kentucky Derby.
The road to the Kentucky Derby passing through New Orleans.
It all starts down at the fairgrounds in New Orleans, where our FanDuel TV team brings you live coverage of a jam-packed day, highlighted by prep races for the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks. At 6:45 Eastern, catch fillies battling it out for Oaks points in the Grade 2 Rachel Alexander Stakes. And at 7:15 Eastern, the morning line favorite, number 11 Track Phantom, will try to take home 50 Derby points in the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes. If that's not enough, just after midnight Eastern Time, horses compete on the Japanese road to the Kentucky Derby in the Hyacinth Stakes at Tokyo Racecourse. And don't forget to join us tomorrow at 6:15 Eastern, when even more Derby points are on the line in the Grade 3 Sunland Derby. Stay right there. FanDuel TV is the best place to catch all this exciting action on the road to the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, the action heats up here on FanDuel as we welcome you to our stream, and we're talking everything Risen Star, arguably one of the most important races in recent history when you look at recent past winners of the Risen Star that have come out of this race and done big things during their 3-year-old season, gone on to be Kentucky Derby favorites, etc. And this race has a ton of depth to it, which we're going to be talking about these runners, which will be competing later on this afternoon with our on-site full team coverage down in New Orleans, Louisiana at the fairgrounds over on FanDuel TV. Joining me this morning, Kyle Levy, as we get set for the Risen Star Stakes. Kyle, great to have you. And this race, you look, as I mentioned, at the winners, recent winners. Angel of Empire won it last year. He went off to be the Derby favorite after Forte was unable to compete. But we've had big winners out of this race. Mandaloon, Gunrunner, not all that long ago, as well as horses like Gervin. So this, for whatever reason, at this point in the calendar, has turned out to be a very, very productive race through the recent years.
Oh, yeah, really productive race. And I think 2 years ago, Epicenter won it too. Steve Asmussen coming into today with two favorites here. Well, one of them is the favorite, the big favorite being number 11, Track Phantom, coming in at 7-2. So awesome field today down in New Orleans. I think they're getting a little bit of rain. So we'll see how that shakes up the track today, see how the surface is come race time, because it's the last race on the card, 14 races down at the fairgrounds today. But we got all of them on FanDuel TV. So it's a good day, Scott. Great to be here. And yeah, let's get to talking Risen Star.
Yeah, post time for the Risen Star Stakes, 7:17 Eastern Time, 4:17 Pacific. So later on this evening, but it's a big card. And we mentioned we've got full team coverage. Kyle mentioned the weather. Let's go on the ground to fairgrounds on the backside. Gabby Goddett, she's out there on the backstretch. Gabby, how are things? How's the weather?
I could definitely talk about the weather, Scott, happily, if my lips actually work, because I'm freezing cold. I need a couple more layers. It is so cold, you guys. It was actually a beautiful day yesterday. It was a little rainy, but the temperature has seriously dropped. We had a lot of rain overnight. So 2 races are off the turf, and the track is sloppy right now, and we might get more rain later. So it's going to be challenging even to just try to figure out how the track is playing today, not only because of the rain, but because of the temperature.
I have faith in you, Gabby Goddett, because you're never at a loss for words. So you're going to be able to talk. Those words are going to be coming out just fine over the course of the day, over the course of these hours that you're going to be there on track. Aside from Gabby being on site at the fairgrounds, it's not just Gabby. We also have Dave Weaver, Michael Joyce, Ashley Mayu, as well as Kaiten Bradar taking you through this entire 14-race card. Don't forget, too, the $300,000 Rachel Alexander Stakes. That is a key Kentucky Oaks prep on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. Oaks points being handed out there. As we're going to focus our attention, though, this morning on this stream on the Risen Star Stakes. So let's take a look at this field. And this one, Kyle, from a wagering perspective, this had to be one of the toughest morning lines to make thus far in any of these Derby preps that we've had, because we know what Track Phantom has done. He's gotten better each step of the way. But then you've got Hall of Fame, who's gotten a lot of buzz, And then Sierra Leone, his performance and ultimately being beaten by Dornoch most recently at the Remsen, he seems like he's going to take a lot of play. This is a tough race to predict who's going to go off as the favorite.
It's a tough race to predict who's going to go off the favorite, but more importantly, it's just tough to predict who's going to win. This is a field where we've got a full field of 12 in here. I could make a case for at least 6 of them. At least 6. I think you could probably make a case for probably 8 of the 12 of them at least. So it's a field that probably a money-making field. If you can pick 3, you're going to get at least probably 3 to 1 on that, plus 300. So good prices all around. As we take a look at Track Phantom right here, this is the LeComp Stakes. So this happened about a month ago here at the fairgrounds. Track Phantom got to the lead right out of the gate, set some fast fractions, and still powers through here. Look at this. Ends up winning by 2, almost 3 lengths. Eaton Nash and Lat Long finishing in third. Just a great run into LeComp, picking up 20 points for Track Phantom in the Derby standings for Steve Asmussen Barn there. What'd you think of that run last time out?
He did what he had to do. That's what was expected of him. He's continued to do what we expect of him. And when you look at the Derby prep races and the progression of these horses, that is all you can expect, because as we know, this is a climb, right? This is a climb up the mountain. This is a massive mountain that these horses are scaling to get to the top on the first Saturday in May. And he just continues to climb. And one of the things that Steve Asmussen has said, he mentioned it on Steve Bick's radio show, is that this horse, he has been campaigned and built up in the same fashion that Epicenter has been. And they know the process. Steve has been down this path for well over a decade plus with very, very good horses, and he's yet to reach the top. He nearly did with Epicenter. I don't think there's any argument that Epicenter was the best horse in the Derby, but for whatever reason, the racing gods had it in their mind that Rich Strike, it was going to be his day. So Steve has the experience, and this colt is a horse that is a serious Derby horse. And I think the same can be said for the number 8 horse in here in Catching Freedom. We talked about recent history in the Risen Star Stakes. Brad Cox, he has been the barn that some of the best horses have come out of, whether it be in the Derby, but especially in the Risen Star. And Catching Freedom, to me, put together a performance that I think many have forgotten about on the first of the year at Oaklawn Park in the Smarty Jones Stakes.
Yeah, really good looking run here. And this is a horse who beat Just Steel and Informed Patriot. Just Steel ended up winning next time out, and Informed Patriot is a great horse there. 5th place in this race was Mystic Dan, who also just ended up winning the Southwest out at Oaklawn this past weekend or 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, and Just Steel, he was second in that Southwest Stakes, and he's one of those battle-tested, classic sort of D. Wayne Lucas type horses. And for Catching Freedom, he does have some things to sort out, but it's Brad Cox. This is the one that they bring here. They paid a lot of money for him, the Albaugh family stable, and they've had some really nice horses through the years. And speaking of connections that have tried again, Albaugh family, as far as trying to pick up a Kentucky Derby win, it seems like one is coming their way. And speaking of Catching Freedom, am I catching Freedom over your shoulder there, Gabby Gaudet, as you've gotten out of the wind? Thank you for getting out of the wind, by the way, on the backside and finding some warmth there in the Brad Cox barn.
I am so cold, Scott. I hope you guys can hear me. Yes, this is Catching Freedom. I'm not going to get too close because I think he's a bit of a fighter.
Come on.
Look at his little tongue out. Hi, buddy.
He's ready to roll.
Yeah, he's ready to roll. So I actually did have a long chat with Brad yesterday about all of his runners today, and we were talking about Catching Freedom a little bit. And he said that one of his best attributes is his ability to kind of be in traffic, be in really tight spots, and still be able to get out of that very well. He said he has a lot of agility. He's shown that in the past in some of his races. He said he's still on the fence how strong his last race was. And he said this is going, if he does win, it's going to be a breakthrough win and give the team confidence kind of moving forward to the Kentucky Derby. But, he has that closing running style. And with how he was describing this horse being able to be in tight spots, that's something that's going to be really important if indeed he does make it to the Kentucky Derby. It might be important today. And this main track has been playing very fairly So that's also another thing. I think that's kind of why Chad said he wanted to ship Sierra Leone because of his running style. This track, especially at the mile and an eighth, you can close, you can make up that ground. So we'll see what Catching Freedom can do, but he's just happy here, chilling in a stall and with his jolly ball. You always have to be careful of the horses with the jolly ball on the outside.
That is very good advice. And I'll tell you what, Gabby, maybe you should grab one of those jolly balls while you're in the backside of the tack shop and take it home to the kids. You know, the kids could use a jolly ball at home.
That's a good point. I could use a jolly ball, actually.
You could use a jolly ball and a goat. We're going to get Gabby a goat. She needs a goat to just kind of
like
bring down the
animal. Yes, I would appreciate a goat.
I kind of, at times, Gabby, feel like I'm your goat at times when we're out and about.
Are you calling yourself the goat?
No, I'm not at all. I am an actual, you know what I mean. Enough about that. Let's go back.
Yeah. You are my companion animal because you know I'm a hot mess during that meet.
Should we tell the Ask It story here? Do we have time for the Ask It story? With the hats and all that? Gabby almost killed me, Kyle. She literally almost killed me when it came to that day. She was fired up, couldn't get her hat sent back. I came up being the smart, can I say what I want to say? You know what I mean. Smart rear end when it came to that. And I went up to her and she gave me the death stare. She was going to kill me, Kyle. I was done. And it was the first time that I'd ever been scared of Gabby got at.
Laser beams shooting through my eye.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's certainly more to that story. We want you to join the conversation. You could do so. TVG Facebook, TVG Racing on YouTube. If you've got any questions for us, please fire them away. And we'd love to have you involved in the conversation. We appreciate you joining this morning as we get set for the Risen Star Stakes 14 race card. Let's go back to the field for the Risen Star Stakes and just give you another look from 1 through 12, who you are dealing with and what this group is dealing with. Honor Marie, he's another one that we'll be talking about. And to me, and I know that we're going to say this as we get to this point in the year, the Rebel Stakes next week and all these races build up, it really feels like it just gets more and more crunch time. And Sierra Leone, I am so torn on this performance, Kyle. It was a huge run. He was last. But ultimately, what is your takeaway and what should be the takeaway for this run and defeat in the Remsen Stakes?
I like this run. Now, listen, the pace was a little bit fast, but ends up coming from last, ends up rolling into first. But I thought it was still pretty impressive. That being said, Dornoch was probably the more impressive part of it compared to Sierra Leone. Because look at this. I mean, I would have thought if I had bet on Sierra Leone there, that horse was going to end up just rolling by a length or two. But that's not something you necessarily like to see. Now, I keep going back and forth. Is it something that I put against Sierra Leone, or does it kind of make Dornoch more impressive? And I'm leaning towards it's just more impressive on Dornoch's end. But Sierra Leone, still one of the most powerful closers in this field for quite a speedy field, if I do say so myself.
He gets blinkers today. I think that just shows you that Chad Brown, Kyle, knows that this style, it's flashy, it looks cool, it looks great, but it's one of those situations when you're getting to a 20-horse field to come from that far back and expect the splits to come in that fashion. You just can't be in that position when it comes to the first Saturday in May.
But, all right, so you mentioned that adds blinkers. Here's a little stat for the last 5 years. Chad Brown, when adding blinkers in stakes races, 0 for 14. Pretty wild stat right there.
That is a wild stat. I mean, I'd like to know
good seconds and thirds in there though, but still.
Here's one thing that I want you to do for me, Kyle. This is homework for you. Can you look up those stakes races and tell me how many of them came in dirt races versus turf races? Considering how many turf races Chad Brown runs horses in and stakes races.
Fair. I can't look at it right now because I don't have it up,
I know you can't.
Yes.
But Gabby, I don't know who that is.
He backed you into a corner, Kyle.
I know.
That's a Norm Cassie horse. I know that's a Norm Cassie horse.
So Brad's barn is right next to my husband's barn, and I'm cold, and I want to let Catching Freedom relax. So we're here. This is an unraced 3-year-old. Don't worry about it.
Okay. One we can bet on when he does race. Do we have any names?
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay. What about Sierra Leone, though, Gabby? I want your opinion on him because he's one of those kinds of runs. To me, he should have won that race, right? He had Dornoch dead to rights after what Dornoch did. Dornoch showed a lot of heart. I mean, he's obviously rising up. He's got the pedigree. He's the half brother to Mage. There's a lot of things going right for him. And Sierra Leone, I don't know what to do. I want to like him, but I don't know if this is going to work as things get more difficult as they will today and moving forward.
I think this is the best case scenario for this horse. I don't like him. I'm not going to pick him or bet him. He could prove me wrong, but I think the reason why Chad added the blinkers is because he was really green last time out. He had a lot of lead switches. He was leaning out. It just wasn't a smooth trip for him because he kind of got in his own way. So they're putting the blinkers on, which I like. And Chad saying he decided to ship him to the fairgrounds because Gulfstream, you're not going to win with that type of running style at a track like Gulfstream. You might not win it at Tampa. I guess you could go back to New York, but we know that the road to the Derby through New York hasn't always been that productive. So I actually love the approach that Chad is taking with this horse and bringing him here because he should love the long stretch. He should love the blinkers on, the added distance, everything about it, I think is appropriate for the horse. But that said, I'm still not a big fan. I think he's going to be overbet a little bit because of all of that. So we'll see. I'm not a big fan, but I think Chad, of course, is making all the right moves.
He's a son of Gunrunner. Gunrunner won the Risen Star, one of the biggest stars in recent years, $2.3 million purchase by the Coolmore Connection. So a lot of expectations for Sierra Leone, and they'll continue today in the Risen Star Stakes. Let's move over to the number 3 horse, Honor Marie, for the Risen Star. Honor Marie is a horse that they only paid $40,000 for at the Keeneland September sale in 2022. Broke his maiden on debut. He was beaten by Otto the Conqueror, who won the Springboard Mile at Remington Park, recently ran in the Southwest Stakes. But, Gabby, we're showing this backtrack overhead view in the Kentucky Jockey Club the last time we saw him 2 months ago at Churchill. He turned into a wicked turn of foot to win this race with a very quick last 5/16 of a mile.
Yeah, it was a very impressive race. There's no doubt about it. It's just one thing that I kind of keep in the back of my mind during Derby prep season is I don't get backed into a corner with horses that are making their 3-year-old debut after an impressive 2-year-old season. It is a big test. These horses don't always make that transition from 2 to 3. Sometimes they just don't fill into themselves. They don't mature, as we need to get out of the way a little bit. Go ahead. And I have more of a fear of that happening with Anna Marie than I do with Real Man Violin, because Real Man Violin is a massive horse. He's a big boy, and that's not necessarily the case for Anna Marie. So I think it's really going to be a question today of whether or not he does make that transition from 2 to 3.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is, and it's these are tougher horses than we faced over there at Churchill Downs, because we know a lot of folks they wait for that 3-year-old season to come around after maybe a start or two when it comes to the 3-year-old picture. Let's go ahead, and we've got somebody with a question, if I'm not mistaken, about Flavien Prat's mount, a horse that is 12-1 on the morning line. And do we have form how Prat's mount is looking? So that's Cardinal for the Stone Street Stable Connections, a homebred son of Speightstown for Pletcher. This is a big step up. He broke his maiden going 3/4 of a mile at Gulfstream in 1:13 flat, for what that's worth. That afternoon, and then second last time out. Have you had a chance to see this horse, Gabby, at all schooling?
No, I haven't had a chance to see. I did see Todd's assistant yesterday, but I didn't see any of his horses schooling. And Steve, of course, as usual, has been schooling a lot, but I've not seen this horse. And he's been training in Florida at Palm Beach Downs, and his 2 only races were at Gulfstream. So maybe Andy has seen him. I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the. There's a few in here that they would be surprises, I think, based on the main ones that we've talking about, and we didn't even have really a chance to talk about Hall of Fame, who's a horse that a lot of the discussion is he ran faster than what Track Phantom did on the same afternoon. I mean, if you look back at the backtracks, this is during the daytime and then it's nighttime. I think the track changes as the temperature drops and things of that nature, but you can't discount what Hall of Fame did. The one thing that does stand out, Kyle, is that Joel Rosario rode both of them, and he's riding Track Phantom today in the Risen Star.
Yeah, so that was kind of what I kept going back and forth on when I was looking at these two Steve Asmussen horses, Hall of Fame and Track Phantom. At the end of the day, this is just Steve saying, all right, Joel, you're going on Track Phantom, and Santana, you're on Hall of Fame. So it's not something that I'd really look too far into. They're both great jockeys. Obviously, people are going to prefer Joel Rosario. Joel Rosario is probably on the quote-unquote better horse on paper, but it's not something. If you like Hall of Fame, Ricardo Santana being on Hall of Fame should not take you off the horse, is my opinion there.
I don't disagree with that.
Scott, and I think you can even speak to this because you've been around Steve for so long. I think this is a very confident move. So there's a first level allowance. There's a other than on the undercard where Nash is running in. So he ran in the Lecomte. It's 1 mile and a 16th. You would have thought that maybe Steve would want to run him in that race and maybe prep him for the Louisiana Derby and just, look for that one shot to get those Derby points in the as we get closer to Derby. But he decided to run him in a 12-horse field after his win last time out. I mean, that just doesn't seem like a typical Steve move. Am I wrong in saying that?
I can't recall him making a move like this. You're right. And I think it is a good sign.
When you're someone like Steve, he's got 2 horses in here, both of them who have speed. Both of them have that early speed. Hall of Fame, probably one that wants to be on the lead, but didn't do it in either of his starts. But what is Steve telling the jocks? Who is getting out front? Are they going to be dueling each other? Probably not, but you'd expect one of them to be the pace setter.
I think
it's Track Phantom. Because of the post, right, Gabby? I mean, he can't try to take back from an outside draw.
No, he's going to go. And he just has that cruising speed. He kind of gets into himself. And, they're definitely going to go from the outside. And actually, oddly enough, outside post positions have been pretty good in the Risen Star in the past. War of Will won from post position number 13. There have been several recent winners that have broken from post 8 or wider. So if anybody's concerned that Track Phantom can't win from post 11, I don't think that should be a legitimate concern because other horses, even bigger prices, have done it before in the past.
And he has that style. I know Epicenter probably doesn't fit this mold, but you look at the horses that Steve has had that have turned out to be great, like a Mitoli, like a Gunrunner. They have that speed and they just keep going. They don't miss a beat. They're just like a good friend of mine described it. They're like an engine and pistons. Like they just hit every single beat, and there's they're like pistons. What did you think I said?
I heard you.
Yeah. So nice try, Gabby. Nice try. But nonetheless, they don't miss a beat, and that's I think that's what they're going to try with Track Phantom again. All right, we got folks watching. They need picks. They're going to be watching. Gabby, are you going to reveal a pick now? Do you need to get warm? Do you need a taco from the track kitchen before you really get into your full handicapping rhythm? What do we need to know about this race and how you're approaching it from a picks perspective?
I need a taco and a tissue. So I'm going to give my pick very quickly. I like the 11 Track Phantom. I'm just going in that direction because I did my little key trends again, and the Lecomte has been a very important prep race for winners of the Risen Star. Outside post position doesn't matter. And horses with more race experience have had more success in this particular race, more seasoning underneath of them. And I think that he just makes a lot of sense. I'm very curious to see Hall of Fame, though. I think he could be something special, but this is a big test for a horse like that, especially considering the field size.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm on Track Phantom. I think it's obvious there. She said basically everything I'd say. Kyle, who are you leaving us with as far as pick?
This isn't that fun of a stream if I'm going to say Track Phantom too.
Hey.
So I'll go with the other Asmussen horse. I'll go Hall of Fame.
All right. 2-track Phantoms, 1 Hall of Fame. I thought we lost Gabby for a second as she looks for the taco and tissue. There's the tissue. Now we just need the taco, and then we'll be set to go. Don't forget a $10 no-sweat win bet. Make sure you opt in the FanDuel Racing app and sign up today. If you don't have that FanDuel Racing account, it's available today for the Risen Star Stakes. And also tomorrow, don't forget, we've got the Sunland Derby at Sunland Park. So 2 opportunities to take advantage of that FanDuel Racing app. Download it right now. Opt in for that, and you're going to love the FanDuel Racing app experience as we get set for another big weekend, and it's just going to continue on. Don't forget Rebel Stakes next weekend at Oaklawn Park. On-site coverage, Gabby's petting horses. She's eating tacos. Well, not yet, and she's got tissues, but we've got Dave Weaver, Michael Joyce, Gabby Goddett, Kate and Bradar, Ashley Race Card, getting underway at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. It's all on FanDuel TV. Make sure you join us this afternoon. If you don't have FanDuel TV, and we know most of you do, you can download the FanDuel TV Plus app on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV. Thank you so much for joining us. For Kyle, for Gabby, I'm Scott. Can't wait to see these beautiful faces on the screen starting at 1 o'clock Eastern Time over on FanDuel TV. Enjoy it, everybody.